It's time for today's Lucky Land horoscope with Victoria Cash.
Life's gotten mundane, so shake up the daily routine and be adventurous with a trip to Lucky Land. You know what they say, your chance to win starts with a spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com to play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
Available to players in the U.S., excluding Washington and Michigan. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
We made this.
Welcome back, Trek fans, to our new and ongoing podcast leading into Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery. Previously, I was joined by some Trek colleagues and aficionados to break down Seasons 1 and 2 of Discovery, and if you've arrived here, then I hope that means you're all caught up, because if you're missing what happened at the end of Season 2, then I gotta tell you, you might be a little confused about what's coming next in the series. So, with me today is Mike Burse, which means this episode is basically the Mike and Mike show. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're working on.
Hey, Mike. So I've been working on a little podcast of my own. Actually, just recently started it to get into getting on the air and talking through some stuff. So it's The Threshold, which is actually named after that lovely episode of Voyager, just as a bit of a fun thing there.
That is one of the all-time worst.
I thought it was great. So right now I'm just kind of walking through Star Trek Continues, that fan-made series on that podcast. So it's a really great series, digging into that. Mm-hmm. If anybody wants to take a listen, it's at Trek Threshold on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. And my personal Twitter is MikeBurse6. I've been a Trek fan forever. Earliest memory really is there was a box set of the original series movies on the VHSs, and on the one side of it, if you line them up properly, put the Enterprise on it. So I just remember having that forever, and I wore those tapes out because I watched them so much.
I think I did the same.
Yeah, so that was earliest memory, and then I watched Voyager kind of when it was going through first run, and Enterprise, so they're really my Treks, but I think I've watched all the Treks through a few times now. And just starting with the kids to go through Voyager, so they're enjoying that.
That's awesome. Voyager is definitely one of the more interesting adventure type series that we've had.
Yeah, I find Voyager it's almost like a comfort food too. You can put it on and just watch. You don't have to. Deep Space Nine's great, but you do have to kind of keep up with it.
Right. There's a lot of intertwining plot threads in DS9 that you don't have to pay attention to, but they definitely pay off much better if you do.
Yeah, and I picked Voyager for the kids because my girls are 8 and 6, so wanted them to see Captain Janeway, and they're enthralled with her. They want to be Captain Janeway now, so that's pretty awesome.
That is awesome. How do they feel? Have you gotten to the Tuvok Neelix segments yet?
We're about 6 or 7 episodes into the second season now, so we haven't got to Tuvix yet. I think we just finished Tattoo tonight.
Ooh.
But they think Neelix is hilarious, calling him Mr. Vulcan. They laugh every time.
Oh man, yeah, they've if any show kind of deserves to be brought back into the lexicon the way that Star Trek is bringing back its old episodes, Voyager is definitely, I think, something that deserves a look at.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with Voyager and Enterprise after it too is a lot of the Trek was similar production values, similar type stories, so eventually you get some fatigue there. So I don't think they got their due on their first run. They are much better than what's been said about them, and it shows too on Netflix, because I believe Voyager is still the most watched Star Trek show on Netflix. So
really,
yeah, that's what I've been hearing over the last 2 or 3 years. So it's clearly people are watching it now and picking it up.
That's good. That's good. What do you think the odds are of an HD remaster of Voyager coming out?
It seems to be slim to none to me. They don't seem to, like, they've got 7, of course, on Picard, but they don't seem to be that interested in Voyager overall. At least that anybody that's ran Star Trek, which is interesting because there's a lot of rich storylines there.
There really are. There really are. So coming back to Discovery, which I think shares a lot in common, especially moving into season 3 with Voyager. It's a complete ability for the writers and producers of the show to bring in those classic Star Trek, we're here, we're the only ones out exploring the unknown types of stories.
Yeah, I think that's the most exciting part for me is I really enjoyed Discovery. Season 1 first watch through, I kind of got lost because there's so much going on. You're not used to that kind of Trek, but it's been great the first 2 seasons. But them having that basically a blank slate to tell all kinds of new stories in different settings and mix up the universe a bit, it really does seem like Voyager, where they'll have that blank slate where they can move forward with all kinds of interesting stories. So I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going with it.
Yeah, it's exciting. So way back in the very beginning, we had this beautiful new starship and crew presented to us, the USS Discovery. Its main mission was to work all the weird science and exploration when it got swept up into the Klingon War. Its captain turns out to be from the Mirror Universe, and by the time Discovery comes back to the Prime Universe, humanity is in peril of losing the Klingon War. And the crew of the Discovery, along with the help of the Empress Philippa Georgiou from the Mirror Universe, save the Federation from imminent destruction and are almost immediately swept into a new crisis, fighting an ever-evolving evil artificial intelligence known as Control. So as a result of all this happening, the Discovery is catapulted almost 1,000 years into the future. And, I mean, that is a whirlwind, like just the sheer catastrophic events of season 1 with the Klingon War, the Mirror Universe, and then season 2, losing a member of the crew, having to go through, different types of command chains, and this brand new Captain Pike, who turns out to be great for the crew, fighting truly into the unknown. And now here we are again, a completely insane, manic, traumatic experience that our crew is going through.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. I have heard some rumors about Culber's going to become kind of the de facto counselor, and these people really need counseling after the first 2 seasons. I mean, all he went through in the first season, and then the second season. It's actually, looking back at them now, I just did a rewatch a couple weeks back, and it's really the first season's them kind of getting torn apart and put back together in so many different ways, and Michael basically losing her way and then finding her way back to that. Second season, bringing in Pike was really a stroke of genius. He basically allows them to feel like they can be a family as a crew and move forward with each other, and all the things that go through in that season is insane. So they really do need counseling, these people. A lot of it, especially now going 900 years in the future.
I found it interesting that Admiral Cornwell was actually a therapist before she moved into the command track. So there's certainly precedent, and yeah, if anyone deserves it, it's definitely the crew of Discovery. So with the Discovery being long gone into the future, the crew of the Enterprise and the new head of Section 31 are sworn to secrecy and may never speak of the events surrounding Discovery and her crew, lest the evil AI somehow resurface. And this brings us right to season 3. And we're going to go into this far future without the United Federation of Planets, and we are going to break down this trailer. So, Mike, let's start. Give me your thoughts. Your overall, like, you just saw it just popped up on your screen, and you said, oh my God, it's here. I played it for the first time. How do you feel about it?
I mean, again, the production values on Discovery are amazing, but it looks like another season that's going to be absolutely packed to the brim with all kinds of great storylines that they can pick away at. Just watching it through the first time, there's so many things that they touch on there, and it throws you for quite a loop too, because you've got different species going after them, and it's a good trailer. I really enjoyed it. First impressions was just a great thing to watch.
Yeah, I couldn't help but feel just the excitement and like the pure energy and hype level from the trailer itself. The scenes that they chose to put into the trailer, the music, the different voiceovers, and how they chose to bring all that together, it's impactful. It hits. You realize that, once again, the crew of Discovery, without a counselor on board, have to deal with all this drama.
Yeah, and it's also, and to note too, obviously with COVID-19 going on, they've put this all together, not together in the same place, all the music and everything. So, I mean, kudos to the production crew here, because this is a really great trailer, like you said, end to end, just shows the excitement and all the different things that they're going to have to face this year in little spurts and bits here that don't give you the full picture, but give you enough that you can start kind of thinking where it's going, and the possibilities are amazing.
Right. Some of the big things that popped into my head watching this is, we don't really see anything of Empress Georgiou. So I'm kind of wondering, she's on board, and towards the end of season 2, she was kind of showing a little bit of camaraderie with the crew. She was kind of there with them, like, we're all in it together. Yes, I'm not who you want to be friends with, but here I am. So I kind of wonder how her character arc is going to play out now that she's 1,000 years removed from anything that ever mattered to her. Is she going to just say the heck with it and let's see what happens? Is she going to run off and try and start a brand new empire? Or who's the big bad? We don't know yet. And will she possibly go with them?
Yeah, that's the interesting part about that character is, by the end of season 2, she almost becomes the original Georgiou. She becomes more of a friend to Burnham and looking out for her throughout the season. And we know she's got to get back at some point to Section 31 show, so she's got to get back from the future at some point. But I think that's a good thing to point out. We don't see her at all. Where is she? Is she gone in the background? Is she now figuring out where the powers are in this far future and where she can get the most power for herself?
Yeah.
Like you said, is she gonna basically try to remake an empire? Or is she gonna
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
be helping them? I think with her character, she's going to be doing something untoward for sure.
Yeah, so there's a lot to take in with that trailer. The unfurling of the Federation flag as it comes down, symbolizing that they've been in hiding for so long. You've got all these new, not even new, but you do have some new characters and new alien races that are involved. We see Tellarites, we see Vulcans, we don't see Vulcans. I didn't see any, did you?
No, and that's the interesting part too about the flag is on the Federation flag from the 21st century, there's 6 large stars, which are all the 6 original founding members, right? And you see Andorians, Humes, Cardassians, Lorians, some Tellarites all kind of working together. So it makes me wonder, there are only two large stars left on this Federation flag. Is that humans and Vulcans in some kind of alliance? And then you get to the part here with the Trill, which they look like they're almost in, it looks like prison garbs to me, what they're wearing. So you wonder, are they subjugated to this alliance of the Andorans, Cardassians, humans?
That's true. I mean, where are the battle lines? Who is where? What is what?
Yeah, and we had from the Short Treks episode Calypso craft, and that referred to the Federation as Vidrash or however you pronounce it. Vidrash. That's what it was.
Vidrash, yeah.
It said they were at war with the people from Alcor 4, and they were searching for artifacts from ancient human history. So, is this Vidrash, this alliance of Andorians, Cardassians, Lorians, and all that, or is that somebody else? Like, trying to figure out who's who and where the battle lines are. It's very interesting based on the trailer.
Right. So Alcor 4 I thought was interesting. I did have to go back and watch the Short Trek once we started getting into this season 3 a little bit, because Calypso, the Star Trek Short Trek, available on CBS All Access, give me money. You can watch their little short form videos. Some are live action, some are animated, but they're really cool. And in this particular episode, we are fast forwarded to like 1,000 years into the future, and the Discovery is abandoned, and suddenly someone arrives on a shuttlecraft to the Discovery, and somehow the Discovery has developed its own artificial intelligence, and the person on the shuttlecraft and the artificial intelligence kind of share a little bit of a relationship. And in that, there was a couple of nuggets that were dropped. I had not heard of Alcor 4 outside of this Short Trek, so it doesn't have any significant meaning, the Vidrash fighting Alcor 4, as far as we should know.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting part, is they do tend to drop nuggets, like in the end of first season with Tilly and that spore on her shoulder, and they always seem to come back to these nuggets. So I do wonder if this Alcor 4 is going to be something that pops back up in the course of this season.
Right. We do get shots of different types of landscapes in the trailer, so it is very possible that when we reunite everybody, it will be around Alcor 4.
On this Vidrash looking for artifacts from ancient human history, there's also a point in the trailer here that we've seen so far that it looks like there are people there that almost look like non-Federation that maybe are taking over the ship or something to that effect. Stamets and Tilly look concerned. I wonder if they've found the spore drive and go, hey, this is something we need.
That's true. So yeah, there's definitely a few creatures in there, especially ones pointing guns, which is never a good sign on board a starship. So the Vidrash, it will remain to be seen who the Vidrash are. It is a little derivative if you stretch it from the term Federation. I guess I can kind of hear it linguistically, Federation, Vidrash.
Yeah, a little bit.
Kind of lines up. Yeah. There's another scene where there is a officer in what looks like a Jeffries tube, and definitely looks very young. Looks like she has the Starfleet jumper uniform on with the vest, the tactical vest, and she's inside a Jeffries tube, it looks like, working on something. So looks like a new character, maybe new member of the crew, possibly someone that they pick up in their new universe and integrate into the crew, a la Kess and Neelix.
Yeah, it does look. It's interesting. Well, it'll be interesting to see who this person is, because later in the trailer as well, it looks like Burnham's protecting her from some people as well. So there's got to be some significance to this character and how they're going to fit into the season.
Yeah, again, I'm always amazed at how editing teams put together their cuts and their teasers. What do they show? What do they hold back? And what are they What are they trying to say by not saying it?
And there's actually a fair amount more of Georgiou in here than I remember after the first brush. There's a lot of her fighting, and it looks like there's a fair amount of her on the bridge of the Discovery.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when the trailer opens, it opens with Michael Burnham going through what looks like her own logs, recording her logs, and her hairstyles change throughout each thing, and her clothing changes, and the room that she is in seems to grow a little bit. So I have to wonder how long Burnham is by herself in the future, because she went through the time stream before the Discovery did. So is it going to be one of those situations where she's waiting for them to catch up, or they have to link up at some point because they're in different parts of the galaxy?
Well, it definitely seems in terms of time, there's a lag between when they get there as opposed to when she did. And I also wonder about place. Are they going to end up at Terra Elysium with her, assuming that's where she ended up? Or are they also going to be behind her in terms of time and also end up somewhere relatively far away from her and have to find their way back to her?
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see how that plays out. I do know that Discovery, they like to kind of split their seasons up a little bit thematically, where the first half of the season might be kind of plot A, leading into the second half, and then the second half, the story kind of takes off.
Yeah, I think what we've heard in general too is that will be at least 3 episodes before Burnham and Discovery are back together. I believe I heard that somewhere. So there'll be definitely sometime where Discovery's trying to figure out where she is. And I guess getting back to this trailer here, some of these weapons are very interesting that they have. Looks like they pretty much stick them on the end of their hand, and it's like a little cannon that they're shooting off.
Yeah,
little
like pulse cannons or something. Yep. Definitely new weaponry, new technology. That's definitely something I've always liked about Star Trek, is when they showcase all the technology and the science that they're using. And even if it's, literally out of this world and not exactly real grounded science every single time, it's still fun. They manage to keep you engaged and keep you thinking about how things can be done. And it's definitely a lot better, in my opinion, from how many times on Voyager can you hear some kind of whatever?
Yeah, the MacGuffin of the week.
Yeah. There's this great scene where Michael Burnham is following this new character, and he says, "I see you believe in ghosts." And Michael says, "What do you mean ghosts?" And he says, "Oh, that badge on your shirt," indicating the Starfleet Delta icon. And my thought is Starfleet is long gone. Never mind the Federation. The Federation wasn't just Starfleet, but Starfleet was just a part of this galactic federation of planets. So do you think Starfleet is just, waiting in the wings? Do you think they are completely done, door shut? That's it. It's in the past.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they are they are gone. Like it seems like, based on his comments, that they're a ghost and they've been long gone, and Starfleet's mission was always the whole seeking out new civilizations and strange new worlds and all of that fun stuff. So if that's gone, it makes me wonder if the Federation hasn't morphed into more of an empire like Georgiou remembers, and maybe that's where she comes back into the season, seeing something that she recognizes. But it definitely seems like Starfleet is gone. And even with the, like you said before, about the banner coming down as if it's been hidden, and the person there says that he's been waiting for them. So it seems to me like Starfleet is a distant memory at this point.
Yeah, that seems very likely, especially with the, like you said, the comment where he's been waiting. The whole commentary between, you've been sent here, you are meant to be here. There's commentary about ancient civilizations coming back from the past, and it's just very interesting to see where they might be taking this, because if the Federation did indeed morph into some kind of empire, cavalcade of races, then what would Starfleet do in that situation? And it would make sense. They would hide.
Yeah, I think you think about Starfleet in that situation, like how they sent away in the second season, they had sent away Pike and Enterprise and didn't call them back for the war with the Klingons because I think it was Admiral Cornwell that said they wanted to keep their best and brightest out there in case there was nothing left. So
Exactly.
they probably would have done basically the same thing, left them out there, and now they're in hiding and waiting for the right circumstances to come back.
Right. That's a really good point. That's a really good point, especially with Pike being sent away, coming back at the last minute. That definitely tracks. I hadn't thought of that before.
Yeah, and it's all
There's a
kind of comes
scene-
back to that. The night is always darkest before the dawn, right? So things are probably at their worst when they get there.
So the next scene that we see in this trailer is like these pools of liquid, and they almost kind of look like this milky substance. And the immediate scene right after involves a Trill and their prison guard. So strange new worlds, and you can see in the trailer there is an individual wearing the same type of red robe. So it should be interesting to see what type of world, what type of new cultures and new civilizations have sprung up in the absence of a Starfleet or a Federation.
Well, and I almost wonder too if this isn't the Trill homeworld, because back in, I think it was in
It's time for today's Lucky Land horoscope with Victoria Cash.
Life's gotten mundane, so shake up the daily routine and be adventurous with a trip to Lucky Land. You know what they say, your chance to win starts with a spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com to play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
Available to players in the U.S., excluding Washington and Michigan. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
DS9, we got to look at that, and they had these pools where the symbiotes were staying until they got hosts. So I don't know if maybe this is the same type of thing or if it's something entirely different. I think we see Burnham kind of floating in the water there, so I really wonder, maybe that's not Burnham. Actually, that looks like that young Starfleet officer or whatever.
I think it could go either way. It's definitely hard to tell. Yeah. And Culber, you mentioned earlier that he's kind of taken on like the de facto role of a mentor or a counselor or a therapist. Where do you think that's going to lead with Stamets?
Well, at the end of last season, you could tell Culber was basically came around to, even though he's kind of in turmoil himself with everything he went through, he still wants to be with Paul. So I wonder how Paul is going to handle that. Is it going to be relatively smooth, or is it going to be, well, Culber's got a lot of issues going on and Paul's got to find a way to help him through it? Or is Culber basically going to try to ignore his own issues and dive into everybody else's issues and help them as a way to keep his mind off of it? So I think there's a few different ways they could go with that. Any way you go, there's a lot of good stories to tell there, especially if he kind of buries his own issues and tries to help everybody else. There's a lot of
reality
character
in
to
that.
study there. Yeah, a lot of people do that, so it'd be interesting.
I mean,
to go that
it's a
route.
perfectly natural reaction to, incredible stress and trauma. Further on in the trailer, as we mentioned, we do get some fight scenes with Burnham and Georgiou fighting. It looks like they're fighting side by side, but it's kind of hard to tell whether this is something that they're doing together or if they are actually opposed and they just happen to be fighting the same people. There's not enough information, and I really can't wait to see where they take Georgiou. I really it's so conflicting because everyone says this is a terrible character. She's Space Hitler, she's genocidal, she's cannibalistic, but I don't have to like all the virtuous, charismatic, deeply wisdom-filled captains of Star Trek. I can also like the Space Hitlers. Why can't I have both?
Well, I think the thing about, I think there's kind of two things with it. People loved Georgiou in the first episode of Discovery as a captain, then she died. And then we got this character later on that was very one-dimensional to start. But as season 2 went on, you could see the layers starting to come on. where she's not just a space Hitler. She's got a lot of layers where she does care about Michael, but how far does she care about her and put her ahead of her own interests? So I think it's going to be really interesting.
We don't know what the real relationship between Mira Georgiou and Mira Burnham was. We do get some hints that she basically reprised that daughter-like figure to her, and that's why Georgiou feels tied, more specifically.
Yeah, I think like you said, I really like that character. I don't like the character themselves as a person, obviously, but the character, there's so many layers to that character that they can work with. And I think this season, it looks like we see a fair amount of her here in the trailer. So it looks like they're going to be doing a lot with her. It'll be interesting to see if she becomes a trusted member of the crew, or if she becomes somebody that either turns her back on them at some point, or maybe she starts off where she's not trusted and then she comes back and helps them after. Yeah. There's a lot of different avenues that it looks like it could go here.
Definitely. What about all these new, or rather missing? Who's missing from this trailer? I didn't see any Klingons. I didn't see any Romulans. What else are we missing?
Yeah, I think with it being, it looks like a lot of this is going to be about the Federation. A big one missing is the Vulcans. Mm-hmm. Like the Romulans, at this point, I wonder where they are with their homeworld being destroyed at this point and being so far in the future. But yeah, there's a lot of, and we see Cardassians here, but we don't see Bajorans, and generally we've seen those go hand in hand. So will those Bajorans be propping up? Mm-hmm. And there's always, in the back of my mind, always where the Borg. We saw what they were like in Picard. Are they even still around? Are they going to play any role in this? I think the Vulcans is the biggest one for me. Where are they? What are they doing? We don't see them at all in this trailer.
Yes, and I recall the logic extremists that have been a pervading nuisance to the Vulcan High Command. And I have to wonder, in light of our current political reality, without going too far into it, if maybe there might be some other type of lesson to be learned here with extremism taking the place of what we originally thought would be, righteous and true.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how they play with that, because they definitely like to get into current affairs. They shroud it in a lot of layers, but it's there.
Right.
So maybe the Federation has gone to an extreme of trying to take care of their own, as opposed to reaching out and helping everybody else.
Right.
Similar to what's been going on, and how does that play out?
Well, after the events of Star Trek Picard, it's very murky right now, as we don't have the rest of that story, and we don't know how these things are going to tie in. But there was already a little bit of precedent where, Romulans, of course, had, done what they did in Star Trek Picard, and that story played out. But there was some precedent where fear was starting to take precedent over, pragmaticism and the righteousness that Starfleet had always stood for, which spurred on the events of Picard. I do think that there could be something there.
Yeah, I think I agree where you're going there. And I think the further they get away from, I guess you could call them the old guard, people like Picard, even Sisko and all them that had the principles, the really good principles, the further you get away from that, more and more fear sets in. You almost need that injection of Burnham and the crew coming from the past with those ideals to then have enough to combat all this fear.
Yeah. You mentioned the Cardassians and the Bajorans earlier, and as we watch the trailer, there's a scene where there's quite a few Andorians. There is a Cardassian, the Lorian is there, what looks like a human. So other races that are missing.
I always wonder, where are the Dominion now?
Yeah.
What are they up to?
The Founders.
Like maybe the founders have started back in over the last 1,000 years. Maybe they've taken over power in the Alpha Quadrant, and people just don't know it. Is there somebody behind the curtain, maybe?
Ah, yes. Who is the man behind the curtain? The Kelpians also haven't shown up in this trailer, aside from Saru. So it remains to be seen how their storyline plays out. We know that the Kelpians were very important to the mission of Discovery getting to the future, but Burnham is the one who went back and freed the Kelpians. Granted, she didn't come back from the future. She came back from her point in time, which was a few weeks after the events that happened on their homeworld.
Yeah, and you almost wonder, or they've talked about how Burnham was meant to be in this time. Are there more things that maybe her mother had set up that she saw happen? It just seems like there's some destiny for her here in this time period, and maybe there are more things like last season where she had gone back and set up all these pieces for them, picking up Jet Reno, freeing the Kelpians, all these things that they needed to accomplish their mission. So maybe there's some of that that's going to play into this season as well.
Yeah, I wonder if we might get some more like what's happening in the present day timeline, like what's going on with L'Rell. Like, are we going to see anything of Captain Pike in season 3? And I wonder if they might show that by having Michael attempt to make jumps to that era. And, you know, following that thread, I don't think it's likely, but it would be pretty cool if, you know, they kind of showed Michael jumping to different eras of Star Trek and going to TNG, going to the Enterprise B era, you know, and maybe witnessing things. You know, like I said, I think it's a little bit of a pipe dream to see like how they could play with that, because obviously with VFX and everything that they've done to surprise us so far, you know, bringing back Harry Mudd, you know, casting in Rebecca Romijn as number 1, great stuff. So, you know, I feel like they're playful in that kind of way, and I'd love to see something like that.
Well, I think I'd love to see one particular character from DS9, Dax. So not Jadzia, not Ezri, obviously, but the Dax symbiote. Is it still around? Maybe it plays a role of remembering how things were and helping at some point, since we're seeing the Trill.
That's a great point. And it would be an easy play for Discovery to write them in, because you don't need, you know, you can cast someone entirely new. You know, it's just a name, really.
Yeah, and that could be a way to sneak in the actress that played Ezri. I know people don't remember her as fondly, but it's another way to sneak somebody in.
That's true.
But there's and I'm thinking back about the jumps, and the time crystal was burnt out or something of that. But there's also that time crystal. Reno saw some of the future when they were trying to charge it. So how much did she see? And how is that going to play into this season? Right.
That's a good point. In the 23 weeks of new Trek that CBS just released, actually, it's funny, that trailer came out Monday. It was just a teaser to show, like, hey, we've got this new show, Lower Decks, coming out, and then immediately following that, we're going to be dropping Discovery. So they put out, like, a little 30-second teaser. And I had just released my podcast episode on Monday where I had talked about, you know, the potential of Discovery not announcing anything until Lower Decks was almost over. So I'm kind of going to eat my hat a little bit on that one.
Yeah, they like to mess with people. I think Kurtzman has a little devil streak in him there. I think he likes to hold stuff back a bit.
Yeah. I think in today's age of, you know, instant gratification and everybody knows everything right away, it's pretty cool to kind of hold on to some things and let it build, man. Like, you know, that's what it's all about.
It takes a lot of discipline to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you think back about 20 years, we didn't have the internet like we do now, so you had to wait. And that just created more anticipation and more discussion for everyone. So it's a really good thing.
Exactly. So yeah, there was definitely some new footage dropped in this little trailer here, and what really stuck out was this one shot of Burnham, and she seems to be standing in front of like her holographic display interface from the Red Angel suit, and she's ecstatic, she's happy, she's stoked, she's screaming with excitement.
Yeah, it definitely looks like when she first gets into the future, she's looking at the display and she's just lets out an awesome yes. She's screaming at the top of her lungs. She looks excited as hell. I don't have an excitable voice, so I don't do it justice at all, but she is ecstatic.
Yeah. I mean, after all they've been through, I think they deserve a little good news.
Yeah, it definitely is a letting everything out kind of moment as you see it.
Yep. Along in this trailer, there's a scene where they're definitely on a planet. It's all like red trees and rocks and everything, and it's a group of individuals that we don't recognize, but they're clearly human.
Yes, they definitely look human.
It looks as though they've discovered they've discovered where the human colony is, and it definitely seems to be where the building is, where they unfurl the Federation flag for Burnham as they're talking to her.
Yeah, and if you look closely just after that scene, it looks like Burnham's walking back into the Federation office that they've unfurled that flag in. It looks like her hair is longer than the last time she was in there.
Right.
So it's clearly another shot.
And she has her ship's uniform on.
Yeah, so it's clearly her back there again at some point.
Yeah. Another great shot of crew embracing in the Spore Drive engineering bay. And immediately following that, what can only be described as an armada and being chased. And if I'm not mistaken, these individuals are the same ones in the trailer: the human, the Andorian, the Cardassian, and the Lorian.
Yes, it definitely looks like they're the same six that were chasing them. And it's a very barren surface of a planet that they're being chased across. And these weapons are putting up huge plumes of smoke. So they're pretty powerful looking.
Yeah. Overall, not a ton we can actually take from this trailer, just because there wasn't really a whole lot. It was just such a quick, 30-second bumper, and they're really pushing lower decks in it too, of course. But overall, I think that we are definitely in for anything. Anything goes. Yeah,
I mean, they've highlighted so many exciting pieces to it. It's going to be a romp for sure. And as we've seen in the last couple of years of Discovery, there's so many layers to the story that they put in there. And getting to know these new characters of Booker and whomever this young ensign-looking Starfleet officer potentially is. Maybe she's a Trill, maybe she's not. It's gonna be a great romp. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. If there is one thing that you really hope that they go with, what would it be?
I really hope that this young person is a Trill, and it's the new host of the Dax symbiote. I don't know why I'm stuck on this whole thing about Dax, but I just think it would be a great connection to DS9, bringing that back in. I think having that many years of experience and over another 1,000 years would help the Discovery crew in some form throughout the season.
Yeah. It would make sense if the remnants of the Federation, or whoever we meet that has the hidden Federation flag, if they're trying to hide something of value, and they're being chased down for it. I feel like it's that young ensign has something to do with it.
Yeah, she or he, they definitely have something to do with all this, because they've featured that person a few times in the trailer here, and the way that they work, they don't do that just for fun. There's definitely something to do with this young person that is important to the whole season.
Exactly. It's a good bet that they could be the Dax symbiote.
Yeah, Something tells me it's not, though. I don't know why. It's one of those things that wishing for it, but who knows?
Yep.
They're very good at laying stuff out.
Hey, mark your calendars, and if it comes true, then you heard it here first. Mike, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm just. It's great that we're going to get 23 weeks of new Trek all in a row. Lower Decks. You got Discovery coming back. Things are starting to open up here in Canada, so who knows? Maybe they're going to start doing more production up here with Picard and some of the other shows that are coming up. So we got a lot of Trek coming. It's a great time to be a Trek fan.
I love it, man. You hit the nail right there on the head. 23 weeks of Trek. We've got more shows coming. We've got more productions on the way. We've got more short Treks, presumably, on the way to help fill in some gaps. I'm particularly excited for Lower Decks. Something about it just kind of tickles that little Trek fancy that I have about just show me the fun, weird stuff.
Yeah, I am really looking forward to it. I think, to kind of similar vein to what you said, it looks like it's not going to take itself too seriously. We might just see some weird random stuff and stuff you don't see in other shows like Second Contact. What's that all about? And the whole first scene they showed with them playing with the Batleth, and she's drunk and she gets the guy's leg. It looks like it's going to be fun.
Yeah, that definitely got a very audible laugh out of me when I saw it for the first time. Yeah, it just looks like fun, and with Discovery coming out right after, I feel like it's just going to be, they're going to ramp it up, and it's going to feel like it's never left.
Yeah, and I think to their universe, they're building it very smart, where every show has a different tone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to have that Lower Decks where you're going to get that kind of fun, more lighthearted piece to it. Then you're going to get Discovery back, which is, they're still fun in Discovery, but it's a much more serious show.
Right.
So it's just good to get this variety. You get all kinds of different Trek.
Yeah, it gives everybody a little something.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of the feedback from Lower Decks. You have your the old guard, the old fan base saying, this isn't my Trek, I'm not interested, this looks like a kid's show. And the funny thing is, they've announced they are making a Nickelodeon Star Trek show. So there will be a kid's show. This is just the cartoon for adults.
Yeah, and that's the thing about all this Trek is there's going to be something for everybody. And if there's one show that you don't like, no big deal. There's other Trek that you're going to love. Everybody's got, and some people are like me, will watch everything just because it's Trek. And I'll find some kind of little sliver of enjoyment out of any Trek show. There's always something in it for me.
Absolutely. Mike, listen, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight and walking us through some of these trailers here. Any final words?
No, thanks for bringing me on. It's been fun walking through this, and I'm enjoying listening to your podcast.
Oh,
and I'm sure everybody else is. So definitely everybody keep tuning in here. There'll be a lot more coming up. And it's going to be a great time looking at Discovery on this.
Definitely. Mike, thanks so much, man. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too, Mike.
Thank you for tuning in today. This has been the 5th episode of We Are Starfleet. And with all the great Star Trek shows being released, there's a plethora of podcasts for you to choose from, and I am grateful that you have chosen mine. My guest today has been Mike Burse. Make sure you check out The Threshold, a Star Trek podcast in 30 minutes or less. Feel free to drop me an email at wearestarfleetwmtr@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike Slamer. And as always, if you're feeling particularly generous, a 5-star review is always welcome. If you've got something you want to talk about, I want to hear it. I've received a lot of great feedback so far, and I really appreciate hearing what you've got to say, so don't hesitate to drop me a line, especially if you'd like to come on the show. We Are Starfleet is part of the We Made This network of podcasts. Check out our website, wemadethispod.com, to see all of our great shows. Starfleet Medical has advised wearing a mask at all gatherings indoors. And remember to keep at least one Commander Worf's distance between you and others. Failure to comply will result in assimilation, so let's all do our part. See you next time, Trekkers and Trekkies.